Hi, today we are going to talk about the changes the newly elected government in Portugal is bringing to housing and immigration, and how this could shake up real estate investment. Are the new government really going to make the same mistakes again? How can this influence property prices in Portugal? Stay tuned and we will find out together. Welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Marcos Fenelon. I've been a finance guy for a long time, and half of that in real estate. I found a development company in Portugal which has been active for 8 years. In April 25, a new government took office in Portugal. In fact, there was a re-election of the Prime Minister, but with a big change in Congress. The Democratic Alliance of Prime Minister Luis Montenegro, which represents a force considered center-right, and Chega considers right-wing, gained strength. The Socialist Party, center-left, and left-wing parties like Bloco de Esquerda and CDU lost strength. It's therefore a shift to the right in the Congress. Despite being the biggest winner, the Democratic Alliance does not have a majority. It will depend on understandings with other parties. But in the past we see a lot of difficult and friction with the relationship with both Chega and the Socialist parties. This opposition apparently will not be enough to block the government, but it may jeopardize the program initiatives we will discuss next. What caught my attention in the program is that the government will seek to simplify bureaucracy, restrict immigration, and try to promote housing, all with impact on real estate. First, let's talk about housing. The big bet is on increasing supply with the goal of building 59,000 new homes in 4 years of government. According to my estimates, if the government actually manages to deliver that, it would alone be responsible for more than 35% of the supply in Portugal. A very ambitious figure. This initiative, however, is a kind of a copy of a previous plan by government led by Antonio Costa, which had already foreseen the construction of 26,000 new homes by 26. New Prime Minister Luis Montenegro guaranteed that 20,000 of these homes would be completed by 26, just 6,000 shy of the target. To boost construction and rehabilitation by the private sector, the proposal foresees an exceptional regime. This includes the elimination or the reduction of tax, costs on works, a substantial reduction in fees, and the application of a VAT of 6% on construction and rehabilitation with a limit on the final value of the properties. These reductions are very welcome, but remains to be seen for those on the other side, developers, if the combo tax and fee reductions with price limits yields the same or better returns. The government also intends a deep review of the framework for licensing and urban control. The aim is to simplify and provide more predictability, moving from a prior control model to inspections. I have to say that did not work exactly well in the previous government. For example, the occupancy permit is no longer mandatory, but no bank in the country finances houses without a permit, so nobody goes in that route. Also, legislation gave power to developers, architects, and engineers, but implies huge risk of the city council penalizing later. The challenge to truly simplify licensing is great, as it means having less power over some aspects of citizens' lives. And there is also a strong force of risk aversion and desire for control that remains alive in the government and in the institutions that are part of the market. In terms of rating, the proposal is to restore confidence to the market, ensuring the effective resolution of contracts in case of non-compliance. Talking about confidence, the previous government sent a lot of negative signals to the real estate market. After years of incentives, it tried to crush short-term rentals, known as local accommodation, represented by the famous Airbnb. It didn't go unnoticed that previously tourism and local accommodation got a lot of incentives, as they were the true lifeline of a fragile economy in 2011. 10 years passed, the sector that was salvation becomes a villain, which makes other market players think they might be the next target. This same government flirted with rent pricing control, a practice that was disastrous for the country in the past, and yet was deemed convenient to resume in a light version in Antonio Costa's government. So the current government's initiative to give more confidence to the rental market is very welcome. And only then there will be more supply for such an unbalanced market. But not talking about removing the light rent control kind of indicates the opposite. At the end of the day, the measures will depend heavily on the government's implementation ability. Much remains to be proven whether these measures will have an impact on the supply of properties. In my opinion, a single entity promoting this enormous quantity of units is nearly impossible task, especially true when talking about the government, which still has to comply with an enormous quantity of additional rules and supervisions. The incentives for construction seem timid. Better to encourage industrial production of houses. Those engineering techniques have been known for over 20 years, extensively used in countries like Brazil and Mexico, for example. With this, the private sector would gain from volume, building 500 to 5,000 houses in each project, and could have good returns even by making the cheapest houses in Portugal. We talk a lot about supply. Now, we have news that could impact also the demand. The government is reforming how Portugal deals with immigration to attract talent and combat illegal immigration. There are two movements already underway: catching up with immigration regularization and strongly restricting new immigration. And two important immigration paths are closed. The first was the so-called expression of interest. Someone enters the country as a tourist, gets a job, and expresses their interest in staying. This possibility ended in June 24. On the other hand, the government implemented a system called Via Verde, green light or fast track, with a reduced visa approval period of 20 days for large companies, which will be an important source of labor mainly for sectors such as technology, health, agriculture, and construction. The second path closed was for Brazilians and Timorese. They could enter as tourists and apply for authorization known as CPLP. Now they must also apply for visas following the same rules as nationals of all other countries, which requires a visa before entry. At the end of the day, the government has regained control of who can legally enter and stay in the country. The effect of withdrawing the expression of interest alone represented a 60% drop in immigration. Another important sign given by the government is the restriction of immigrants' family life. In the new law, which is for debate in Congress right now, says that family reunification can only be requested only after 2 years of legal residence in Portugal. This measure will certainly prevent many families from immigrating, and it will encourage the immigration of singles and couples without children. I believe that the elimination of the expression of interests and visa exceptions for Brazilians, as well as the tightening of family reunification rules, will cause immigration to fall substantially, perhaps to lower levels than 17, when the legislation was kind of similar as of today. It's moving from a level of 250,000 per year to 50,000 per year. At the same time, I can see a worsening of the labor shortage problem in construction. Ironically, it will have a negative effect on property supply as well. These changes, if approved, will certainly decrease pressure on demand. Assuming 3 immigrants per house, this would mean a demand decrease of around 66,000 houses. But with all these changes, I still estimate that we have a demand level of around 60 to 7,000 units per year, which is much higher than the current construction level of 40,000 per year. My opinion is that property pricing pressures will continue, even if all these reforms take effect. More and more, the big cities will be only for big pockets, especially wealthy foreigners which have larger pockets compared to the average Portuguese buyer. Lisbon is already a city where foreigners command price, and Porto is going to the same direction. As I said in a previous video, if you are considering buying, my opinion, do it sooner than later, because the factor behind price increases are still strong. We are in a seller's market right now with very strong demand. I see projects flying off the shelves, selling in a matter of days, which in the past could take months. That's it for today. Do you think market is going up? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, please give a like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to not miss our next content. Thanks for watching, I wish you good health and wisdom. Grande abraço para Portugal, tchau!